So Zach's gonna get his triangle. He's got 3 different ways that he can set this up. He can either cross collar and sleeve and break my posture, and then start shrimping and climbing his guard up around my shoulders, right? And then from there, since he's already got this sleeve, he's gonna shove one down. Yep. And he's gonna get his triangle, right? So that's one way. The second way, I'm keeping my posture at first, right? My hands on his hips, so he's gonna grab my wrist. He's gonna choose one. He's gonna get rid of one. He can kip up straight into one, but go back for a second, sleeve wrist control, shove one down. So he's gonna shove one wrist down, his other foot is gonna go in my hip. He's gonna use that to bridge up, get a clamp, sink his hips back down, and then start working to finish his triangle. So that's 2. Third way is cross collar and sleeve again. And he shrimps out. He posts that foot a little bit outside my arm. He windshield wipers my arm, and then he comes over top of the triangle. All right, so the bottom person is going to be practicing one of those 3 entries. From here, the top person is going to think about getting control of this knee. All right, this one that's going over top of my shoulder. All right, I'm going to be thinking about getting see how my shoulders are the same height as my hips. All right, so I'm in a lot of danger right here. All right, so I need to think about looking up and getting my hips underneath me. Is what we're going to cover, but I want you guys to practice opening this knee up first, all right? So I'm going to get control of this knee. I want to think about sprawling and slamming his knee to the mat and turning, all right? So I'm going to sprawl and turn. All right, from here I'm going to look straight up and get my arm out of there, okay? So he's going to go back to the triangle, one of those 3 entries. So he gets to his triangle. As he does, I'm going to grab his knee, all right? I'm going to think about slamming to the mat and sprawling, and then coming around, all right? Any questions? All right, 1, 2. We're gonna do like that. And go over ways to beat that, right? So I go into my triangle, one of my 3 entries, okay? So I'm gonna get control of his wrist, hip, foot on the hip, shove his arm down, kip up, go to my triangle. He's gonna start looking inside, right? I'm gonna be trying to pull his arm. I'm gonna go 2 on 1. I wanna keep his hand from getting inside my knee, all right? That way I can keep it open. As he's turning us to the side, I want to think about this elbow staying on my hip and then lifting his hand towards my chest. All right, getting like an Americana. All right, so I'll do another entry. I'll go to the scissor, windshield wiper, triangle. If I'm going for my knee, I go 2 on 1. I think about his elbow staying on my hip, 2 on 1, and then pulling his wrist back and hipping in. Okay? Easy because your shoulder gets real tight going that way, all right? Yeah. Any questions? All right, 1, 2. Back into the triangle. Yep. So we always want to, from here, the top guy is always thinking about getting his posture back, getting his hips underneath of him, yep, and looking up towards the ceiling, right? So a couple of things we can look for from here. One, both my hands to the back of his head, because me just pulling on his head, it's going to make a lot more weight going through his spine and everything. I want to think about shoulder walking. Just keep shoulder walking, not letting him stack my hips over, all right? And then starting to finish my triangle. Another thing we can look for is if he does posture really hard and looks up, we can start looking for this arm bar still, okay? So you guys can do both of those, all right? So one more time. Go for the triangle, all right? He starts trying to lift up. I'm gonna pull his head and shoulder walk. Keep shoulder walking, all right? I let him up for the sake of the drill. I'm gonna come to this arm and start bringing, just push, look at where his thumb's at, and think about taking it over, hit the opposite direction, okay? Any questions? No. You're right, my bad. Jordan would use me for a dummy and like give like a 10-minute lecture, forget I was in there.
Right.
Yeah. You're like unconscious or something.
Yeah, 1, 2. So just to round this all off, that's everything we've covered for our triangles. These are 3 different entries. All right, so either cross collar and sleeve, breaking his posture, wall, or shrimping out, getting to a high guard and shoving his arm down to get to my triangle. Getting control of his wrist, shoving it down, kipping up, going to my triangle. And lastly, going for cross collar and sleeve, going to my scissor, and going to my triangle. All right, so we want to hip up and bring this arm across, get our shin, and finish the triangle. But we've gone over if he defends and puts his hand on this side. All right, so we can do a couple of things from here that we covered. Was one being the punch choke. So I'm going to think about these 2 knuckles going to his neck, push and pulling, getting the tap. Or if he's got a good grip right here, I can start trying to take my hand to his wrist and put my elbow against the mat and use that to break the grip and start looking to get my Kimura. Or if he's got a really strong grip there and I can't break the grip, pushing his head, going to his belt, going to my omoplata. And then we also just covered if he protects and starts looking to slam my knee to the mat, right? Grabbing 2-on-1, and then hipping in, getting the Americana. Or if he looks to posture. If he postures, I'm going to bring both hands to the back of his head, shoulder walking, breaking his posture, and then finishing my triangle. Or if he gets his posture and I can't shoulder walk away, getting control of his wrist, turning his palm towards the ceiling, and then hipping up and getting the arm bar, right? Any questions, guys? All right, 1, 2.